Japan is responsible for 75% of all bluefin catches in the Pacific. 75%. This means that Japan has a big part of the bluefin future. If they are responsible for 75%, then that means they have the power to make or break the future of tuna and themselves. Japan is affecting the populations of tuna by their excessive amounts of overfishing. As local people in Japan fish for tuna, there is also the major fisheries that fish for tuna. With these two preying on the tuna, makes lives hard for the following generations of tuna. People need to do something to prevent this from happening. Creating laws that must be mandatory for all fisheries and penalizations for violating them would be the best for the future of the tuna.
We're not talking about saving the fish for fish's sake. We're talking about feeding the most number of people we can from the ocean. And if you fish out a species till it's gone, you're just stupid.
Been decreasing for many years. Overfishing is one of the main reasons that the population has gone down to dangerously low levels. Japan's hauls went from 358 tons to 23 tons from 2005 to 2014. The amount of fish has gone lower throughout the years and shows how excessively Japan has fished for bluefin tuna. With the amount of overfishing, there were laws in the form of quotas. Understandably, Japan was put with a high quota of bluefin to have Japan be less dependent on them and stabilize their population. Even with the restrictions, they seem to reach the quota 2 months earlier. With them going over their quotas, it shows that they are missing the point about the limit they've been put on. The World Wildlife Fund, or WWF, wants to make laws on the amount and size of fish they can catch a mandatory and not voluntary law. Penalizing the fisheries with fines may also prevent them from going over the quotas again. If they were to enforce these laws, it will prevent fisheries from binging on the fish they don't need and give them a reason not to.
It's in our interest to make sure the seafood industry is smart about what it's doing. But we're going to have to force them. They're not going to do it because they want to.
Fisheries in Japan don't generally care or focus when getting fish for their country. Fisheries in Japan tend to think more about their catch as opposed to their own future. They tend to catch all sizes as the size of the bluefin doesn't influence their organizations. 70% of the Pacific bluefin fish are 1 year old when they're caught, and 95% are captured before they achieve 3 years old, which harms the species and prevents them from having the capacity to reproduce. The species isn't given time to develop and reproduce before being discovered, making the populace diminish.
They fish, they overfish, and they catch the wrong fish. Giant nets set on floating fish magnets, or fads, haul in other species like rare sharks and juvenile tuna. Longliners set lines that can stretch out over 100 miles. Barbed hooks pull in sharks, turtles, and rays, and enable the inhumane and wasteful practice of shark finning.
Researchers disclosed to us that when a tertiary predator like bluefin or another huge fish is strained, it would influence the whole biological community. In spite of the fact that fish do give sustenance and vocations to individuals, they are more than just fish. Fish are a best predator in the marine natural way of life, keeping up and adjust in the sea condition. In the event that the bluefins were to go wiped out because of overfishing, the number of inhabitants in mackerel and little fish would conceivably increment, yet a decline in tertiary buyers and in addition makers. For example, microscopic fish and algae. On the off chance that the laws of confinement to the catch of fish were established, the eradication wouldn't be quite a bit of an issue. However, numerous fisheries still overfish and the law isn't under control. In the end, the Japanese would fall back on angling for other fish, ideally the mackerel. Numerous organizations could discontinue with the sudden change. And with the close down of the organizations comes the intensifying of the economy and biological system.
When first world countries come in and steal the fish that indigenous people have been relying on for generations and generations, that's robbery. That's stealing.
Overfishing might be a factor with regards to the elimination, yet environmental change has a greater effect and is a fundamental driver of the termination of bluefin fish. With environmental change comes an earth-wide temperature boost, and with the warming of the waters comes movement to cooler zones. The bluefin fish relocates to Korean oceans because of the temperature separation with the Japanese oceans. Fish body temperature is directed by water temperature, and expanding ocean temperatures can influence vital natural procedures of fish, including development, reproduction, swimming capacity, and the contact. Because of the environmental change, the fish eradication is caused by the lessening of its development, making the species relocate to different waters.
Although these are two arguments, one thing is agreeable. The The cause of depopulation is due to human interaction, whether it be indirect or direct. The bluefin tuna holds a sacred cultural value in the lives and history of Japan and its people. Although some agree the main reason for the population decrease is due to overfishing, some also agree climate change causes the fish to move to different locations.
With many of the tuna being caught premature, Japan should make a law restricting the catchings of premature tuna, allowing the species to grow as well as reproduce. For those who overfish and exceed the quota amount should be penalized with fines, which also allows the bluefin tuna species to grow and reproduce without any interference. As for climate change and its effect on the oceans, reducing the amount of our carbon footprint could reduce global warming and prevent the migrations of fish towards other waters.